The following episode is brought to you by FFBCast. Stay tuned for your very own custom podcast, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You are listening to the LSF podcast brought to you by FFBcast. I am your host, Joseph Hoppy, and today we are recording the Week 1 recap episode where we are going to be taking a look at your overall standings, and considering that it is Week 1, we'll judge your rankings based on points for, but we'll also compare it to your points against. So hopefully we can come up with some power rankings there, and then we'll take a look at your individual matchups. We'll go over each team and how they did in Week 1, and then we'll take a look at players who scored the most on each team and throughout the league while providing player updates, including injuries as well. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss this. All right, let's dive into the overall standings here, and ranked number 1 overall. Sitting atop the list is Team Hollywood Hogan. Hollywood Hogan scores 152.1 points for with a Week 1 matchup. Easy win here. 77.3 points against. Didn't need it though. 152.1 points for Hollywood Hogan is enough to earn them the spot atop the chart here. And in second place is Marymount's Ghost, not far behind with 149.4 points for. In third place, we have the Money Team. The Money Team scores 131.7. They too get a comfortable win this week with 118.8 points against. And then in fourth place, Team No Luck. Team No Luck scores 122.4 points. In fifth place, we have Pink Tacos. Pink Tacos, although fifth place, the fifth place team is not the next in line as far as points for go, but they did get a win because they only had 94.4 points against them this week. So Pink Tacos gets the win, which is enough to give them a rank of number 5 overall. And same with the next two teams that follow. These two teams as well got the win this week, so that gives them the 6th and 7th overall rank, but are not the next in line, so to speak, when it comes to points for category. So 6 and 7, we have Make LSF Great Again, with 111.9 points, followed by Jacoby Brisket with 98.5 points. In 8th place, we have Uncle Rico putting up 118.8 points, so actually 5th overall in points for, but they have an 8 ranking overall because they were dominated by the Money Team this week, who put up 131.7 points against them. Now in 9th place, we have 118.7 scored by 23 pilots. And then 10th place, the Fistula, 94.4 points for Fistula. And then 11, we have Fairy Tale Footballers. They are ranked 11 of 14 overall. And let me remind you that 6 teams make the playoffs. Fairy Tale Footballers only puts up 91.3 points, so that earns them a rank of number 11 overall out of 14. And then 12 is Cooking for One, followed by 13 Erlacher's Hair, and 14 in last place is Lucky Trees. They all score less than 90 points. So that concludes our overall view right here of the standings, of points for, points against. And we'd usually include winning streaks and such, but considering that it's Week 1, we don't have much of that to talk to, so we will move on quickly and get into our individual matchups. We will look at your team and how they fared in Week 1.
You're listening to an FFBcast podcast. For more custom content, visit us online at ffbcast.com.
All right, we're going to get into your individual Week 1 head-to-head matchups now. Let's start with the first matchup on the list, 23 Pilots versus Mariemont's Ghost. 23 Pilots scoring 118.7 points. Mariemont's Ghost dominating in this one, 149.4 points. Not much 23 Pilots could do about it. 23 Pilots, 2 led by quarterback Deshaun Watson with a great performance. 4 touchdowns by Deshaun Watson. We know that he was just a beast in that Monday Night Football game against the Saints. It very much, to me, looked like a playoff game, possibly a Super Bowl preview. Deshaun Watson, 4 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, only 1 pick, and he just dominates in this one, enough for 36.6 points in this league. Now we'll take a look at his running backs. His running backs were led by Joe Mixon and Austin Eckler. Joe Mixon with that possible injury, so keep an eye on Giovanni Bernard. But Austin Eckler, a dominating performance as well to wrap up that overtime win. Austin Eckler takes in the touchdown. He scores 37.9, so some dominating performance here. Performances by Eckler and Watson so far from 23 Pilots, but just not enough to get it done. Mariemont's Ghost, Jameis Winston leads this team with 6.9 points, but they still find a way to win it. Running backs Chris Carson and Tariq Cohen put up 21.1 and 8.9. And then if we look at the flex for each team here, Jordan Howard leads that position for 23 Pilots, 8.7 points. And we take a look at Mariemont Ghost's flex, and it becomes obvious and evident how they scored so many points with Sammy Watkins. Dominating performance from Sammy Watkins. I think it was 9 receptions for 198 yards, averaging 22 yards per reception. And then he also has 3 touchdowns. And he just really, if you had Sammy Watkins this week, I would be shocked if you lost. He puts up 47.3 points in this league. Now we'll take a look at the receivers here. Tyreek Hill and Brandon Cooks, a good duo for 23 Pilots. Tyreek Hill goes down with the injury. I believe it was a broken clavicle, which then went behind the sternum. Tyreek Hill puts up 3.1 points after being projected to score 15.1 points. That injury really slows him up. I believe at that point he may have only had 1 or 2 receptions for just a couple yards. Brandon Cooks, though, puts up 4.9, and Brandon Cooks does not get injured, so underwhelming performance from Brandon Cooks. And then they have tight end Darren Waller. Darren Waller looking to be like basically a diamond in the rough, a good find maybe this year as well. Darren Waller, much praise from John Gruden on Darren Waller as he goes 7 for 70. He puts up 10.5 points in this league. And then Mariemont's Ghost is DeAndre Hopkins and Chris Godwin as far as the wide receiver position goes, and Hopkins a dominating performance. I mean, if you look at these teams, it's kind of funny because you have Tyreek Hill on one, Sammy Watkins on the other. Hill goes down, Watkins goes off. Winston does terrible, Watson does great, but then Watson, his number one receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, puts up nearly as many points. Just a lot of back and forth here. This is kind of a game that you maybe wanted to have closed your eyes until it was over with, because if you were kind of watching as the Jacksonville Jaguars game was going on, you know, you think you got no chance, and then all of a sudden Deshaun Watson starts doing what he's doing, and you've got Darren Waller yet to play, and you know you have a little bit of hope there, but not enough for the win. 23 Pilots finishes 0-1. Mariemont's Ghost. Didn't need a big performance from Travis Kelce here. 10.3 points. And they get the win with Chris Godwin, too, only putting up 12.8, but still win comfortably, 149.4 points for Mariemont's Ghost. Our second matchup features two teams that score a difference of 15.1 points. Urlacher's Hair, 83.4 points. Jacoby Brissett, 98.5. Good enough for him to get the win here. Jacoby Brissett, ranked 7th overall, gets the win with Matt Ryan leading his team, 22.4 points by Matt Ryan. And then Nick Chubb and Marlon Mack at the running back positions. Nick Chubb puts up 10 points even, and Marlon Mack 28.9 points. Marlon Mack, a dominating performance with 174 rushing yards, of course, we know, leading all running backs in week 1. He puts up a touchdown as well. Marlon Mack, just a dominating performance, helping Jacoby Brissett get the victory here. Let's take a look at Urlacher's Hair. Cam Newton, 20.9 points projected, and he only puts up 5.2. So Cam Newton, an underwhelming performance by him, does not help in this one. Actually, Cam Newton maybe could be one of the reasons that this team lost. It can point to that and say that's where. But also this running back position was quite underwhelming. James Conner and Phillip Lindsay. James Conner puts up 8.5 points and Phillip Lindsay 8.6. So 17.1 points combined from that running back position. And then add Cam Newton in there. That's 22.3 points combined from all three of those spots. The wide receiver position, though, was a little bit more kind to Urlacher's Hair with Julio Jones and Allen Robinson. Julio Jones scoring a touchdown in this one. He puts up 12.1 points. And then Allen Robinson has a great performance going over 100 yards. He gets 15.7. A lot of receptions in this one for Allen Robinson. Clearly the Bears' number one target and receiver. Tyler Eifert puts up 5.2 points. What do you expect from Tyler Eifert? An underwhelming performance from the tight end position, but then again, it's an underwhelming player in Tyler Eifert. Tevin Coleman in the flex. Tevin Coleman gets injured here. A high ankle sprain. Looks like he'll be out a couple weeks, so keep an eye on Matt Breida. Tevin Coleman puts up 6.6 before he goes out in this one. But if you look at the flex position across from us in the opposing team of Jacoby Brissett, Curtis Samuel puts up 4.7, so less than Tevin Coleman, even though he goes out with an injury. Curtis Samuel only 4.7 points in this one. Curtis Samuel was super hyped prior to week 1 here. I'd like to see take a temperature reading after this week 1. I bet a lot of people cool off on him. But I still believe he can do big things. He is a great route runner, a good receiver, and he is going to get work. He's going to get plays that are designed for him, so he'll see better days. The tight end position here, though, is a notable position for Jacoby Brissett and George Kittle. George Kittle sees a team-high targets. That's good. I think we kind of assumed that, especially after Dante Pettis fell out. Dante Pettis only puts up 1.2 points on this one. He was on the bench along with Geronimo Allison, who puts up 0. So not much going on the bench for either of these teams worth noting. But the receivers of Jacoby Brissett, Stephon Diggs and Tyler Lockett, also kind of underwhelming. Lockett goes 1 for 40 and a touch. And Stephon Diggs, goes for 4.7 points in this one. So not too much going on there. Like I said, Marlon Mack really helped keep this team afloat here and get the win. Jacoby Brissett pulls it off, goes 1-0, 7th ranked overall. Urlacher's hair. Hopefully see better days. Our next matchup here is a dominating performance by No Luck, outscoring Cooking for 1, 122.4 to 88.3. Cooking for 1 finds himself in 12th place, starting off 0-1. Not much they could do here. In this one, Jared Goff scores 10.4 points. Dalvin Cook goes off for 27 points. Dominating performance from Dalvin Cook. But then Sony Michel only puts up 1.4 points. Rex Burkhead heavily involved, taking a lot of work away from Sony Michel in week 1. Maybe they're easing him into it, considering his off-season knee surgeries. Dak Prescott leads No Luck and keeps that team afloat because there's not much else going on here other than tight end Delaney Walker, who scores 2 touchdowns. Delaney Walker puts up 20 points in this one, but back to Dak. Dak puts up 41.4 points. We all have heard it and possibly have seen it as well. Dominating performance by Dak Prescott earns him 41.4 points in this one. Ezekiel Elliott, 12.8 points. Kind of underwhelming, but what do you expect from a guy who just signed his contract literally days ago? Ezekiel Elliott only 53 rushing yards in this one. Let's take a look at the running backs. Or the other running back, in Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman puts up 2.6 points in this one. Underwhelming performance by the Falcons team in general. Wide receivers Julian Edelman and DJ Moore led No Luck with 13.3 and 9.1 points respectively. Hopefully you'll get a little bit more out of Julian Edelman, considering that the Patriots put up 33 points on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He only puts up 13.3 points, but there'll be better days for Julian Edelman and DJ Moore as well. 9.1 points in this one. Like I said, if it were not for Zach, No Luck, Team No Luck would be finding themselves very, very low amongst the list here. But Delaney Walker as well helps out, like I mentioned earlier, 2 touchdowns, 20 points. James White in the flex, 10.7 points from James White. Now this team leaves Tyrell Williams on the bench. He goes for 21.5. And let's take a look here at Cooking for 1. Devontae Adams, Robbie Anderson, 14.2 and 9.9 points respectively. But that's not the highlight. The highlight here is Evan Ingram, 25.1 points. Evan Ingram, a dominating performance from him. Definitely looks like he's going to be a featured player in this Giants offense moving forward. Now in the flex, we had player David Montgomery. David Montgomery puts up 5 points, but the Bears only score 3 in this one. So hopefully he'll see some goal line work moving forward in some more higher scoring games, because I expect Coach Matt Nagy to right the ship. He is an offensive-minded coach, and 3 points is very unacceptable. So I know he's going to do something about that. Better days ahead for him as well. That wraps up our third matchup. Cooking for 1 loses 88.3 to 122.4 to Team No Luck. All right, my favorite matchup of the week, featuring 2 very different outcomes, scoring outputs. We have Team Lucky Trees with the lowest points scored in 77.3 points versus Hollywood Hogan, the number 1 ranked team overall, with 152.1 points in this one. So peaks and valleys here. Lucky Trees last place, Hollywood Hogan first place after this one. And Hollywood Hogan could have scored so much more. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But let's get into the quarterback that led this team with 43.4 points. You all probably know who it is. It's Lamar Jackson, throwing for 5 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 43.5 points in this one. Then his running backs were David Johnson and Leonard Fournette. David Johnson, a respectable 22.7 points. Leonard Fournette, only 9.4 in this one. Baker Mayfield only puts up 11.4 for Lucky Trees in this one. And then Saquon Barkley and Aaron Jones put up 16.9 and 4.4 respectively. The wide receiver position, though, the wide receiver one, so to speak, is a match-off here between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Keenan Allen shows why he is the Chargers' number one receiver and was drafted ahead of Mike Williams, much further ahead of Mike Williams. Keenan Allen putting up 24.3 points in this one. Mike Williams puts up 3.9. Sterling Shepard, the other receiver on Team Lucky Trees, he puts up 7.2. And Cooper Kupp, the other receiver of Hollywood Hogan, puts up 8.1. Now, Cooper Kupp, the mistake start here for Hollywood Hogan with 8.1, which, I mean, you hope is usually, a wide receiver two's floor. Your team's wide receiver two. I'm not saying he's the Rams' wide receiver two, although he may be. But we'll get into that very shortly after we talk about David Njoku, who gets a touchdown in this one, 11.7 points. Tight end for Hollywood Hogan. And then Damian Williams and Vance McDonald is the flex and tight end of Team Lucky Trees. Damian Williams, pretty good performance here, 15.5 points. But LaShawn McCoy also has a good performance, scores double-digit points. And he only signed a couple days ago. I think LaShawn McCoy is going to keep up, he's going to keep up with Damian Williams' production until he gets more comfortable in the offense and then take over that number one position. So Damian Williams probably will be relegated to a flex, maybe even less than that. Later on in the season, but I like him as a play now, and especially the first maybe 4 or 6 weeks. Looks good for Damian Williams, so hold on to him. Maybe try and trade him later. Vance McDonald here, only 5 points, disappointing performance, but what do you expect when the Steelers only put up 3 points in the entire game? Lucky Trees here, leaving John Brown on the bench with 23.8 points, but they cannot complain because on the other side here, let's take a look at Michael Gallup and Deshaun Jackson on Hollywood Hogan's bench. Remember when I said that Cooper Kupp was the mistake start? Well, Michael Gallup, 21.3 points. Deshaun Jackson, 36.4. You heard that right, 36.4 points. Both of these players on the bench, both receivers on the bench for Team Hollywood Hogan. So although they put up the most points in the entire league this week with 152.1, they also leave those two players on the bench. So that is a very good feeling, I would say, for this team moving forward, knowing that they have all of these potentially dangerous options. So good luck to you, Lucky Trees. Hopefully you can turn this thing around. It's not too late. It's only week 1. Hollywood Hogan, great start. Pat yourself on the back, but move on and proceed with caution. Let's get into our next matchup here with Pink Tacos and the Fistula coming up next. Okay, we've got Pink Tacos versus the Fistula. Pink Tacos, unfortunately, only 8.1 points from Mitchell Trubisky. Christian McCaffrey, though, makes up for it with 39.9 points. Christian McCaffrey goes bananas in this one. Running back Darius Geis puts up 5.3, and we know now that he is injured, so go out there and get Adrian Peterson. Adam Thielen puts up 11.8 in this one, and then T.Y. Hilton, a big performance, although no Andrew Luck. T.Y. Hilton puts up 24.7 points. Now, the Fistula has Patrick Mahomes as their, of course, leading quarterback. He puts up 33.2 points in this one. And then Kerryon Johnson and Royce Freeman, some poor performances there, 7.2 and 6.6 points. Dicey call there starting Royce Freeman. It worked out, and he actually did look better than Phillip Lindsay in this one. 6.6 points from Royce Freeman. Hopefully you don't have to depend too much on him, though. A disappointing performance from Mike Evans. He puts up 3.8 points. And then Kenny Galladay putting up 12.2. Not really helping this team. They lose by 20.1 points. Calvin Ridley, 14.4 points. Their best player outside of the quarterback position. Calvin Ridley in the flex for Team Fistula. And like I said, they lose by 20.1 points. Kyler Murray on the bench for this team, 25.5 points. And then Cortland Sutton with 17.5. Cortland Sutton would have been a good start for this team, but they don't get him in there. And then looking across the board here, Mitchell Trubisky only puts up 8.1, and this team, Pink Tacos, benches Aaron Rodgers, who puts up 14.8. So that's what happens when you get too cute with your start and sit decisions there. That pretty much wraps it up. Pink Tacos, 1-0, 5th place, and the Fistula falls at 10th place with a 0-1 start at the end of week 1. An intriguing matchup recap ensues with these two teams possibly being a playoff preview. Team Uncle Rico, 118.8 points in this one, loses to the money team who scores 131.7. The money team was led by Carson Wentz, who puts up 30.9, and then Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, 19.4 and 24.7 respectively, dominating performances. Amari Cooper and Tyler Boyd. Amari Cooper puts up 21.6. Zach Ertz has a disappointing performance, but still puts up 7.9 points and is enough for the money team to beat Team Uncle Rico, who had Drew Brees in that outstanding game against Houston. 24.8 points for Brees in this one, and Le'Veon Bell is back playing football. He puts up 20.2. Less than Josh Jacobs, 23.8 points. Josh Jacobs in his first action gets 2 touchdowns and seems to be like a decent fantasy option moving forward. Alshon Jeffrey, 19.6 in this one. And then Mohamed Sanu, a dicey wide receiver too, although he puts up 8.2. And that's kind of what you expect out of him on a week-to-week basis, about 8 points if you're starting Mohamed Sanu. The flex position beholds Marvin Jones. He only puts up 8 points in this one, and then Jared Cook, an underwhelming performance as well with 4.7. He leaves Antonio Brown on the bench out of necessity due to the very vast majority of issues that have been going on surrounding him now with the Patriots. And we have just learned before recording this that Antonio Brown is now being accused of sexual assault and rape, I believe 3 different accounts. So you may have to continue starting Mohamed Sanu and carry on without Antonio Brown. So brace yourself and prepare for that. Good luck as well. You're going to need to recover, because had you have had a receiver with the talent and caliber of Antonio Brown, it would have been a very close matchup, but I don't see you having an issue bouncing back moving forward. So that wraps up this one. We'll get on to our final matchup of the week. Make LOSF great again and Fairy Tale Football. You're not going to want to miss this. Then we'll get into our week 2 preview, and we'll talk about some things that you guys may be interested in moving forward. So stay tuned and do not go anywhere. We are beginning to wrap it up here as our final matchup review takes place. Make LOSF great again against Fairy Tale Footballers. Russell Wilson is the quarterback of Make LOSF great again. Russell Wilson puts up 20.6 points, and Todd Gurley puts up 10.6, followed by Derrick Henry's 29.9 performance. Todd Gurley, 97 yards in this one, no touchdowns, but that's not the case for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, only 84 yards, puts up a touchdown in this one, and then they both get a little extra work there as well. So decent performances from the running back committee here that leads this team, and we'll take a look at the wide receivers. Pretty potent receivers here with OBJ and Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon gets a touchdown as well in his first action coming back as a Patriot from checking out of last season and entering himself into rehab. Josh Gordon has a decent output here. O.J. Howard, though, another story. The tight end for Make LOSFF great again. The flex position, D.D. Westbrook. D.D. Westbrook, a respectable 11.7 points, although he was outplayed by teammate DJ Chark. DJ Chark, I believe, putting up, 146 yards in week 1. And a touchdown as well. So let's move on here to the bench and look at any notable sits. Not much going on here. Jamison Crowder and Phillip Rivers. You probably wouldn't have started them anyways. Phillip Rivers maybe would have been the start for you, but Russell Wilson puts up 20 plus anyways, so you're not too upset about that one. Melvin Gordon on the bench, though, for Fairy Tale Footballers. But before we talk about that, we'll look at the quarterback that kind of disappointed in week 1, Jimmy Garoppolo, 12.4 points. But it's hard to say that he disappointed when so many quarterbacks scored such low outputs this week. Miles Sanders and Matt Breida are his fantasy running back options. 3.2 and 3.7 points from them. I expect better days from both of them moving forward, so don't even worry about that. Don't sweat it. A tough loss, though, 111.9 to 91.3, and then to only get 6.9 points out of that running back position. That is a tough loss when you have Michael Thomas and Juju Smith-Schuster as your wide receivers. 19.3 and 10.8 points from them. Mark Andrews, a dominating performance with 22.8 points. Mark Andrews, I'm not expecting this from him every week. I'm not even probably ever expecting this from him again this season. So it's upsetting that such a dominating performance from him comes in a loss. But you have Robert Woods in the flex, and he puts up 12.6 as well, so he should be pretty consistent moving forward. If you get Melvin Gordon back, you also have Jarvis Landry on the bench there. I don't see you having any issues climbing the ranks here. Currently in 11th place, Fairy Tale Footballers Make LOSF great again in 6th place with that week 1 win. So that pretty much wraps it up for this week 1 recap episode. Good luck to those teams that did not get a win. Hopefully you'll have some better luck moving forward. And I did look ahead to a matchup in week 2 that I did particularly like. Team Pink Tacos versus No Luck, the 4th and 5th place teams matching off in week 2. So that ought to be an exciting one, a good one. And I just wanted to take a look real quick at some of the free agents available on waivers right now, particularly if you're streaming defense. I think Patriots at the Dolphins is probably one of the best options that you'll get overall. Jimmy Graham is out there if you're looking for tight ends, but then I also saw DJ Chark putting up 146 yards. He's kind of a lottery ticket. I still expect Dede Westbrook to be the better wide receiver. But if you need running backs, Chris Thompson is out there, as well as Frank Gore. Frank Gore did not see much of the field, but when he did, he ran the ball. He got only 20 yards, but it was 11 attempts. So Frank Gore, when he's out there, he's running the ball. Malcolm Brown, maybe, if you can convince somebody that he's actually worth something. Maybe the Gurley owner scoop him up and sell him to him. And then maybe a deep sleepers, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown definitely had a good performance there, and he looks to be the real deal. The Titans, number one overall wide receiver, and number one first-round pick as well. So keep an eye on those guys, and I had a great time doing this. This was a very intriguing and exciting league. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So keep checking us out on FFBcast.com, and we're excited to hear more from you guys and cover more of your league. We've got lots coming up soon. We'll be making Facebook pages for everybody's league at their request. So pay attention to that as well, and then we'll update it regularly. So keep in touch with us. This was an enjoyable experience. We hope you liked it as much as we did. And stay classy, fantasy football players. We're out.
That concludes this episode. Follow us on Twitter at FFBcast and email your questions to ffbcast@gmail.com. See you next time for more fantasy greatness.